Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, Boston Marathon Edition. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are presented to you by Hyland's Leg Cramps. Stop the cramps, not your race, and the NormaTec Pulse Recovery System. We're at the 120th Boston Marathon. Josh Cox and Des Linden join us. Des, Boston has a lot of meaning to you. Your first marathon, your closest marathon, right? And how many times now have you been here for this race?
Been here in some capacity. I've probably the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah. Whether it's working the expo and spectating and
Right.
drinking beers at the ball game,
Yes.
or working the course and trying to break the tape. I've been here a lot.
So just in LA recently, you qualified for your second Olympics. How exciting was that? And the last Olympics, you had a stress fracture, so you couldn't finish the race. What does it mean to come back, get back to another Olympics?
It was huge. It was obviously a little bit of redemption. Hopefully we'll get to the finish line in Rio. But I think, 2012 was a low point in my career, and you got to decide, am I going to just bow out and never be the same, or am I going to rebuild myself? And that's so hard, and it was so challenging. But there's so many great people around me with Josh and my husband Ryan, Kevin and Keith Hansen. I had all the tools and the people to help get me back. So it was nice to cross the line and feel like I had done that and, said thanks in a way to the team around me.
Talk a little bit about a moment when you knew you could be a professional runner, that you can make a living in this sport, because it is a tough haul. What race made you realize that, I could be really good at this?
Yeah, I would go way back to probably a race most people didn't even know I was in, but it was the World Road Champs in Hungary. I think it was in 2006 maybe, and it was my first U.S. team, and I shouldn't have even been on it. I think it was a gift. No one wanted to take the spot, and they let me in, and I had a day where I was competing with the top Americans at the time, and I was right up in the front with that group of Americans, and I thought, well, I can knock heads with these guys, and it was a mental shift for me. I didn't beat any of them that day. They still kicked my butt the last couple miles, but it changed my perspective and my outlook, and I thought, well, I just need a little more time and I can race with these guys.
Now, Josh, you've obviously seen a lot of athletes over the years, a lot of great runners. What is it about Des that you knew early on that she could be special?
Well, she's really gritty, and she's willing to do, as she says, the unsexy work of putting in the miles and just really this sport. I mean, we come here to Boston, center of the running universe, here for a couple days, and she had that great run in 2011 here, racing down Boylston, and you have all the crowds and all the support and everyone chanting USA and Go Des Go, but the reality is all the work that's really done is done in solitude.
Nobody's cheering.
No, it's you and you're alone, and yeah, you have your team and your teammates, but really, even on the longer stuff, you're all by yourself. It's you and your thoughts and your heart and your passion. And Des has a unique wiring where she doesn't get too high or too low. She just grinds it out, and she knows she doesn't have to be Superman on any given day. It's just getting out there and putting in a great body of work, and that's what she's done. It's not a 3-month build-up. It's not even a 20-week build-up, 1 year, 2 years. It's your body of work over the last decade plus. And ever since she was at ASU, she's just grinded and stayed the course. And plugging into the Hansen's program, Keith and Kevin have done such a phenomenal job developing her, and with the support of her sponsors, Brooks being alongside her, and Oakley and Timex, and there's Power Bar. It really takes a village, and you need the financial support, but you need the support from the better half, or the other half in your case, in Ryan, I'll throw you a bone. You need
or lesser than.
Yeah, exactly. We don't say that. Other Bob, other. Ryan's gonna watch this, but it really does take a team effort, but it starts here. And seeing the way that she competed in 2011 with Caroline Clell coming down Boylston, I mean,
2 seconds.
How many?
Yeah. She's
almost forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean that was the real indicator.
Right. But you have to look back on that and go, having a real race at the end of a marathon, it's one of those things. What did you guys say to each other after that race?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much respect. I think you just know how much everybody's put in, and you want to go out and have a really great battle, and you want to cross the finish line feeling like you threw everything out there that you could. And I was comfortable that I did that on the day, and it just wasn't enough. So much respect for Caroline, and I think, she felt the same way. I took her to a place that she didn't know she could go to, and that's kind of a cool thing,
Yeah, big time. So Josh, as somebody who, when you went to pace Brian Cully through a marathon, and next thing you know, you're the youngest qualifier for the Olympic Marathon.
1999.
1999,
many
right?
moons ago.
I think it was the second year of rock and roll, and you're all of a sudden Brian couldn't go, and you're like, well, I'm here. I might as well just keep going. Next thing you know, 219, you qualify for the trials.
Yep.
Everything happened so fast. Next thing you know, you're Fila. You're up training in Laguna. You go 213.
Yep.
And then how did your world change going from a 219 guy to a 213 guy? Everything changes.
It really does. I mean, anytime you can run a PR, it's great. But a 6-minute jump was a massive leap, particularly back in 2000. You know, when American distance running was not what it is today.
Exactly.
And the timing was really good. I can't thank the Fila folks enough for what they were able to do with the Discover USA program. Really gave me my shot. I mean, just put us up in the mountains, and the Hansons were the other program at that time that really stepped up, and that it gave me my chance. And it was 3 months where we just focused on training, and really at that point running became my vocation rather than my avocation. It's working 35, 40 hours a week and running 120 miles a week was much more difficult than running 165 like I did in that first build-up. It's when running is all that you have to do, and that's your number one focus, and it's just run, eat, sleep, recover, nap, run, eat, sleep. When that's the program, you can do great things.
Let's talk a bit about the value of being on a team and how, I guess if you look at, like you mentioned, the program with Fila and then the Mammoth Track Club. If we look at the growth of American running, it's become because of programs like the Hansons program. What does that bring to the table for you?
Yeah, it's been huge for me. I think a lot of it is the mentality where you go, I can compete with these guys, and you do the work with your teammates every day. And Melissa White goes and runs a 2:31 marathon, and I've done every workout next to her. Well, why can't I do that? And you just kind of feed off each other that way. So I think that's the biggest thing I take away from it. It's also just like-minded individuals who are shooting after something. They're going to get you out the door. You hold each other accountable, and so it's a combination of all these things coming together.
When you you grew up in San Diego area, so going to Michigan to train, was that a little bit of an eye-opener for you?
Yeah, I think the Hansons are pretty hesitant about that,
Were they?
And so was I.
Yes, I mean, was it did they embrace you right away when you said, hey, I'd like to come train with you guys?
I think they kind of anti-recruited me, this is going to be really hard, you don't really want to be here, and it was like, how bad do you want it, And I had to keep going after it and say, no, I'm ready for this. And then once you do that and you put yourself out there, you can't go and complain and go, oh, you're right, it is too cold, because you have to back yourself up. But I do think, San Diego, Arizona State, Michigan, find me a climate I can't run in. Ready.
So it doesn't really matter what the conditions are.
Exactly.
So when you go to Rio, it probably would be hot, but I'm betting that you sort of like that.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Actually, I think Kevin and Keith have looked at the numbers, and the average high in Rio that time of the year is 2 degrees cooler than what Michigan will be at the same time of year. So the training will be perfect for heading down to Rio.
And what do you know about the course itself in terms of undulations? And
I believe it's super flat. It's right on the waterfront by the beach there, and a couple loops, but it can be exposed to the wind, I think.
Yes.
We'll head out in June, actually, and get out there and test it out and just see what it's all about.
So, Josh, transition from being a guy at 4 Olympic trials, right?
Four
Olympic marathon trials,
yeah.
To all of a sudden going, okay, I think I might need to move on because I'm not running a 2:04 anytime soon.
Right.
How tough was that transition for you?
It wasn't really tough at all for me. I think, when I came out of college, my dream was to make 1 Olympic trials. And if I can just qualify for the trials, I can tell my kids I ran in the trials. And it's funny. It's just like anything else in life. You set these goals and you have objectives you need to meet along the way. You know, okay, I'm going to average 120 miles a week and I'm going to do these races. And then all of a sudden things change really fast because I was planning on running the track. And then like we talked about before, all of a sudden I was a marathoner at 23 years old. I'm like, I guess this is my sport. I was running 75 miles a week. And it was like, wow, I need to reevaluate things.
Yeah.
And so that's when I set the goals of the miles per week and what I was going to do. I started working with Kevin McCary in San Diego.
Yes.
And he gave me his old Athletics West program that he was doing in the early 80s and gave me exactly what they did in the log, you know? And that actually laid the groundwork for me to go into the real program, the real running. But for me, you know, I surpassed everything I ever hoped or dreamed or planned or could have even imagined during my career. I was very fortunate to do well on the business side and the sponsorship side and got a great understanding, being my own agent, of what it means to be a brand ambassador, not just a sponsored athlete, being able to talk about the products and really endorsing products that you believe in and that you love.
Yes.
And it's been kind of hand in glove. And Des was my first client. You know, she reached out to me through Amy.
Yes.
Amy Hastings, now Craig.
Yeah.
And she was a teammate of mine in Mammoth, and she said, Des would like to talk with you. And so we got on the phone, and the rest is history.
And what has he brought to the table for you?
Oh, it's been a game changer. Just bringing sponsors that I can buy into and believe in. I mean, having teaming up with Power Bar has been huge.
Yes.
You know, like you don't have to think about what to put in your bottle. I know that it works, and this guy's tested it and tried it. And
So you got a guinea pig.
Yeah, totally.
Here, I'm thinking about this product. Why don't you go run on it for a while?
but he does a great job. I mean, I think he balanced the business and the athletic side really well, and I learned so much from him, and I hope that, you know, it's helped me out, and I hope that I can share that with the next generation too.
You know, Josh, it's changed so much as an endorsed athlete. Used to be, here's my times, you just sort of send it and that's it. Now you're social media, right? You've got to be going to events and making presentations. There's so many more obligations for an athlete, right, than ever before.
Well, it's great, and now the athletes have it's totally changed the game with them and the sponsors and the running community at large. Before it was like, hey, people like me, come to an expo, they totally line up. And now you can say, look at my fan base, these are my followers on Twitter, this is my Facebook page. And there's actually a way to reach and bridge that chasm that exists between the elite runner and Jane and Joe jogger.
Right.
And particularly here in Boston, I mean, this is a different level of runner. This is the Olympic Games for these people.
It really is.
Getting the BQ, this is what everyone is working towards. Getting that age group qualifier, getting here and standing on the start line. So here you're dealing with a little bit of a different demographic where they know Dez's splits and they know my splits from when I ran here. Yeah, no, guys come up, they're like, oh yeah, you split 105.20 and that was and when you were leading and then they'll go to Des and tell her what she ran 10 years ago and pictures from, you know, ASU. It's like this crowd is intense. It's awesome.
It's the best.
It's amazing. But it's what social media has really provided for us is we can bridge that gap between the elite runner and all of the folks that are running, whether it's to get a BQ or just to lose some weight. Running is the largest participatory sport in America, and there's more people that run than do any other sport. But there still exists this chasm between the elites and Jane and Joe jogger. But what social has allowed us to do and afforded us the opportunity to do is to really build relationships with these people.
Yes.
With Run Mike Run or Run Boulder Mike, and it's like all these people, and you meet them, and you're like, hi, and they're like, oh, I'm Run Mike Run, and you're like, oh, hey, yeah, from Twitter, yeah, and you actually have a bond, and you can build these relationships, and it's great for the authenticity and just to build that trust with the athletes. And when they say, you know, hey, I like the NormaTec boots, then that's something that they can believe, and they go, hey, this is a real deal. And the number one thing for me and my athletes is just, hey, you got to test the product, and you got to really believe in it. If you don't, there's no dollar amount that's going to make it work.
When you had the opportunity through FILA to go to Kenya, I think that's when the light bulb went on in terms of what it takes to be a professional, right? And what recovery really means. How did that help shape you as an athlete and also help you with the athletes you work with?
Bob, is really eye-opening. I mean, you go there and, you know, we're staying at Moses Tanui's place, and he has 2 homes there, and he would come pick us up in his Jeep. It's stars in the sky, moon's still out, and he's picking us up. We're riding in the Jeep. We go and we show up, and there's 50 guys all just kind of jogging in place, getting ready to run this workout. And you go and you run the workout, and it's what you think. It's crazy and it's fast and it's intense, and then you get back. But that's where things were totally different.
Yes.
And it was eat. They get their bread, they get their ugali, and then some chicken, and then they're just laying down. And it's true recovery, true rest, laying on the grass, staring at the clouds go by.
For hours.
And it's just total rest, no stimuli at all, which is so different than what I considered rest as an American.
Driving, doing errands, that's rest.
Oh yeah, I'm not working out. I'm going to the store, and I'm doing some emails, and I'm going to get on some calls and watch TV.
Yeah.
It was total complete rest, and that was a big thing that Dr. Rosa, our coach at the time, was telling me. We had a community room up in Mount Laguna with no TV, and so literally I would just put music on, and we'd just go in there because I didn't want to stay in my room all day, and it was like me and Mike Dudley, another guy at the time, he's a 214 guy. We just go in there and we just lay down, and we just put our head on the couch, and it was just rest.
Total recovery. Love that. So Des, when you look back, what do you think is your best race, the best race you've ever had, where it felt like this is a special day?
I think you have to pick Boston 2011.
Okay.
Just being in the race for so long, sticking to my race plan and putting myself in the right position to race at the right time, and then having that battle down Boylston with 2-3 people and going back and forth for lead changes. So much fun. Like, that's what you dream of, except for breaking the tape is what I dream about. But that's why you're in the sport. That's why you do all the hard work for those moments. So that one's a standout for sure.
Love that. And with the Olympics coming up, what would it mean to you to, one, be on a podium? But if you're going to be on a podium, you might as well be looking down at people rather than people looking up at you.
For sure. I like the top step. I'm a short girl, and I rarely get to look down at people, so I would take that.
Exactly.
I think it's what you dream about as a little kid. You watch the opening ceremony and you see the people compete, and then the flag goes up and they have the award ceremony, and you see the people crying because it means so much, and maybe you don't get it quite then, but I think about that all the time. So just even putting the uniform on and standing on the start line is going to be huge. It's going to be a lot of emotions, and then you want to go out and do your thing on the race course and hopefully get that top step.
And hopefully be healthy so you can get through that race and have that wonderful experience.
Absolutely.
Love it. Des Linden, Josh Cox have been our guests. Good luck in Rio, Des.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.